Why does a philosopher from the 19th century still provoke, inspire, and infuriate us today? Nietzsche, a man whose words echo through our culture. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. While this quote has become a staple in self-help circles and motivational posters, the man behind these words was far from a one-dimensional purveyor of feel-good slogans. Friedrich Nietzsche was a thinker who faced life's hardships head-on and emerged with ideas that challenge our deepest assumptions about morality, strength, and the human condition. For Nietzsche, life was a battlefield, and every human being was a warrior engaged in a struggle not just to survive, but to transcend, transform, and overcome. At first glance, Nietzsche's life reads like a tragedy. His father, a Lutheran pastor, died when Nietzsche was just 5 years old, leaving the young boy to be raised by a family of women, including his mother and sister. He quickly exhibited a prodigious intellect, excelling in classical studies and earning a professorship in philology at the University of Basel at the astonishingly young age of 24. Yet beneath the facade of academic success lay the seeds of rebellion. Nietzsche was no ivory tower scholar. His thoughts and his life were both wild and daring, reflecting a man determined to confront the most unsettling questions of existence. Nietzsche's philosophy remains as controversial and as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. His statement, "God is dead," has been misinterpreted countless times as an atheist's rallying cry. In truth, it was a profound observation about the decline of traditional religious authority and the resulting moral vacuum left in its wake. Nietzsche saw the loss of faith in divine order as a crisis that would upend society's moral fabric, a reality that continues to resonate in our own turbulent era. In many ways, his challenge was not simply about rejecting religion, but about reimagining how humanity could forge meaning, purpose, and values in the absence of divine sanction. Perhaps it is Nietzsche's commitment to the idea of self-overcoming that makes him such a compelling figure. While contemporary culture often glorifies comfort and convenience, Nietzsche preached the value of struggle and suffering as paths to greatness. His concept of the Übermensch, the Overman, or Superman, represents an individual who has transcended societal norms, embraced their inner will, and achieved a higher state of being. This idea has resonated with and influenced countless leaders and cultural icons throughout history. Take, for instance, the perseverance of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison fighting against apartheid, emerging not embittered but as a transformative leader. While Mandela's moral philosophy differed from Nietzsche's, his journey of overcoming unimaginable adversity and striving to create a new world echoes the Nietzschean ethos of self-overcoming. Similarly, Steve Jobs, a man who revolutionized technology, was famously obsessed with perfection and driven by an almost ruthless determination to challenge norms. He defied established rules, pushed boundaries, and was unafraid of failure, all traits Nietzsche admired in the Übermensch. The road to innovation, as Jobs showed us, is paved with struggle, sacrifice, and the courage to stand apart from the herd. Nietzsche was also deeply critical of societal norms and conventions, particularly those stemming from traditional morality. He argued that conventional values often serve to suppress the strong-willed and creative individuals who seek to change the world. His critique of what he called slave morality, the moral system rooted in humility, meekness, and submission, was aimed at the way it stifles ambition and excellence. In modern terms, Nietzsche would challenge us to ask ourselves, are we living authentically? Or are we simply conforming to the expectations imposed upon us by society? This challenge is especially poignant today, as social media and cultural norms pressure us to fit into predefined molds, often at the cost of our individuality and creativity. Another of Nietzsche's well-known critiques was directed at Christianity, which he believed promoted values that stifled human potential by glorifying suffering and self-denial. He saw this as a way for the weak to control the strong, a mechanism that turned human instincts and desires into something sinful. While this view may seem harsh, Nietzsche's underlying message was a call to reclaim life's passions and to pursue our desires without shame or guilt. To truly understand Nietzsche, one must appreciate his belief in living authentically and courageously, a philosophy that can be seen in figures like Elon Musk, who has repeatedly defied conventional wisdom and embraced risk. Whether by founding SpaceX or revolutionizing the automotive industry with Tesla, like Nietzsche, Musk seems to thrive in the space between chaos and order, where true innovation and self-transcendence are possible. But to view Nietzsche solely as a philosopher of ambition and self-overcoming is to miss the nuances of his work. He was also a man who struggled deeply with loneliness, illness, and rejection. Women repeatedly rebuffed his romantic advances. His health was precarious, plagued by debilitating migraines and eye problems. His works were largely ignored during his lifetime, driving him further into isolation. In a particularly heartbreaking episode, Nietzsche experienced a mental breakdown after witnessing a horse being beaten on the streets of Turin. Collapsing as he embraced the animal, he spent the remaining years of his life in a state of mental decline, cared for by his sister. Despite, or perhaps because of, these struggles, Nietzsche's philosophy is infused with heroism and grandeur. His writings are a call to embrace life in all its messiness, to find beauty in the struggle, and to pursue our highest potential without fear or compromise. In today's fast-paced world, where the pursuit of convenience often overshadows the value of grit and perseverance, Nietzsche's message is a powerful reminder of what it means to live authentically. As we prepare to dive deeper into Nietzsche's life, let us set aside our preconceptions and view him not just as a provocateur or a symbol of philosophical rebellion, but as a guide who dares us to confront life's harshest truths and rise above them. Understanding Nietzsche means understanding that true strength is forged in adversity, that self-discovery demands courage, and that greatness often comes at a steep personal cost. The journey into his world is not for the faint of heart, but for those who dare. It offers an invitation to become who we truly are. Stay tuned as we explore the life of Friedrich Nietzsche, the scholar, the outcast, the visionary, and unravel the events that shaped his radical philosophy. What can his life teach us about our own struggles, ambitions, and the paths we choose to walk? Let's find out. Friedrich Nietzsche was born on October 15, 1844, in the quiet village of Rocken in what was then part of the Prussian province of Saxony, now modern-day Germany. He entered a world imbued with traditional Lutheran values. As his father, Karl Ludwig Nietzsche, was a respected Lutheran pastor, Friedrich's early life was deeply marked by a tragic event, the death of his father when he was only 5 years old. This loss shaped his childhood, surrounding him with strong female influences, including his mother Francisca and his younger sister, Elizabeth. This early exposure to grief would later inform much of his philosophical work, as he grappled with questions about suffering, meaning, and the fragility of human life. From a young age, Nietzsche displayed an extraordinary intellect. He was a voracious reader and excelled academically, particularly in classical languages. By the time he reached his teens, Nietzsche was already known as a brilliant student. This reputation would follow him to the prestigious University of Leipzig, where he immersed himself in philology, the study of classical texts and languages. There, Nietzsche came under the influence of the works of Arthur Schopenhauer, whose pessimistic philosophy resonated with him. Schopenhauer's belief in the primacy of the will to live and the inevitability of human suffering laid the groundwork for Nietzsche's later ideas. Though Nietzsche would ultimately break away from his mentor's pessimism in favor of a more complex, dynamic view of life, Nietzsche's academic brilliance did not go unnoticed. At the astonishing age of 24, he was offered a professorship in classical philology at the University of Basel in Switzerland. This appointment was unprecedented, as he became one of the youngest professors ever to hold such a position. For a brief moment, it seemed that Nietzsche's life was headed for conventional academic success. However, it was not to last. Nietzsche was never content to merely analyze ancient texts. He sought to challenge the philosophical status quo. His first major work, The Birth of Tragedy, 1872, offered a radical reinterpretation of Greek culture, celebrating the Dionysian aspects of life, passion, chaos, and irrationality. over the Apollonian ideals of reason and order. The work was poorly received by academic colleagues, who found his approach too unorthodox and speculative. Disillusioned with academia's rigid conservatism and yearning for intellectual freedom, Nietzsche resigned from his position in 1879. This decision marked the beginning of a long, tumultuous period in his life characterized by loneliness, poverty, and chronic illness. Nietzsche suffered from debilitating migraines, digestive issues, and progressive vision problems, which forced him to lead a nomadic lifestyle. He traveled across Europe, seeking climates that would offer relief from his ailments. Yet his health continued to decline. These physical struggles took a toll on his mental state, and Nietzsche often found himself isolated, misunderstood, and rejected. Personal relationships further compounded Nietzsche's sense of alienation. He fell in love with several women, including Lou Andrea Salome, a brilliant intellectual who rejected his marriage proposal and instead formed a close friendship with him. The rejection was devastating for Nietzsche, and it underscored his inability to form lasting, meaningful connections. His strained relationship with his sister Elizabeth also weighed heavily on him, as she disapproved of his philosophical views and later distorted his legacy for her own ideological purposes. Yet, despite these hardships, Nietzsche's pen was never idle. He entered a period of astonishing creativity, producing some of the most influential works in Western philosophy, including Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, and On the Genealogy of Morals. His philosophy was deeply shaped by his personal suffering. He believed that true greatness could only be achieved through struggle and adversity. Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, or love of fate, encouraged embracing life's hardships and challenges with courage and affirmation. This belief was central to his idea of self-overcoming, the process by which individuals confront their limitations and rise above them to become their best selves. To better understand Nietzsche's philosophical journey, one might consider his famous proclamation, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." This statement, often quoted in popular culture, captures the essence of his ethos. Nietzsche rejected the notion that life should be easy or free of suffering. Instead, he argued that hardship and pain were essential for personal growth. In this respect, his life was a testament to his philosophy. He endured physical agony, social isolation, and public ridicule. Yet he transformed these experiences into a powerful vision of human potential and resilience. One particularly significant episode in Nietzsche's life was his mental breakdown in 1889. While living in Turin, Italy, Nietzsche witnessed a coachman brutally whipping a horse. Overcome with emotion, he ran to the animal, embraced it, and reportedly uttered, "I understand you." This event marked the onset of a severe mental collapse from which he never fully recovered. He spent the remaining years of his life under the care of his mother and, later, his sister, until his death in 1900. The breakdown has been the subject of much speculation and interpretation, with some viewing it as the culmination of a lifetime of intense philosophical introspection and physical suffering. Despite his tragic end, Nietzsche's intellectual legacy endured. His writings challenged the moral and philosophical foundations of Western thought, questioning traditional notions of good and evil, truth, and the nature of human existence. His call for individuals to embrace life with all its chaos and suffering resonates deeply in a world often preoccupied with comfort and security. Nietzsche believed that greatness could only be achieved by those willing to confront life's darkest moments and transform themselves through struggle. Nietzsche's influence can be seen in figures such as Winston Churchill, who led Britain through the darkest days of World War II with unyielding resolve, and Rosa Parks, whose quiet strength and defiance in the face of injustice ignited the civil rights movement. Both exemplify the Nietzschean ideal of overcoming adversity and reshaping society through courage and conviction. As we delve deeper into Nietzsche's philosophical teachings, it becomes clear that his ideas are not merely abstract concepts but practical tools for confronting the challenges of modern life. His philosophy invites us to question societal norms, to find strength in suffering, and to strive for self-overcoming in the face of adversity. It is a journey that demands resilience, courage, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. In the next section, we will explore Nietzsche's key philosophical teachings, including his critique of traditional morality, his vision of the Übermensch, and his belief in the transformative power of art, culture, and self-overcoming. What can these ideas teach us about living authentically and courageously in a complex, ever-changing world? Let us continue this journey into the heart of Nietzschean philosophy. At the heart of Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy lies the idea of Selbstüberwindung, a German word meaning self-overcoming. For Nietzsche, the path to becoming the best version of oneself is not an easy journey, but one that requires confronting life's greatest challenges head-on. It is a philosophy that rejects complacency and demands the cultivation of strength, resilience, and the courage to go beyond one's limitations. Self-overcoming is not about reaching a final state of perfection, but is instead an ongoing process of growth, struggle, and transformation. To truly grasp Nietzsche's concept, we must first understand his view of human nature. Nietzsche believed that life itself is a struggle for power, not in the sense of domination over others, but in the drive to assert and express oneself fully. This relentless push for self-expression and self-actualization defines what it means to be human. However, Nietzsche was not interested in promoting a life of mere comfort or pleasure. Instead, he celebrated hardship, suffering, and adversity as the necessary crucibles for greatness. Only by facing and overcoming obstacles can we transform ourselves into stronger, more capable beings. Consider the story of Nelson Mandela, a towering figure in the 20th century and a prime example of self-overcoming in action. Mandela spent 27 years in prison for his efforts to end apartheid in South Africa. During his time behind bars, he endured harsh conditions, isolation, and the uncertainty of whether he would ever see freedom again. Yet Mandela did not allow these hardships to break him. Instead, he used his imprisonment as a period of self-reflection, discipline, and growth. When he emerged from prison, he did not seek revenge on his oppressors. He sought reconciliation and unity. By transforming his suffering into strength, Mandela embodied the Nietzschean ideal of self-overcoming, demonstrating that true power lies in transcending adversity with grace and resilience. In the modern world, the pursuit of self-overcoming can take many forms, both grand and small. Consider someone recovering from a debilitating injury who must relearn how to walk. Every painful step is a testament to the human will to overcome physical limitations and push toward a new level of strength. This daily struggle mirrors the essence of Nietzsche's philosophy, the refusal to give in to despair and the commitment to embrace life's hardships as opportunities for growth. Another contemporary figure who exemplifies self-overcoming is Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi and facing numerous hardships, including abuse and discrimination, Oprah's journey to becoming one of the most influential media moguls in the world is a story of relentless determination. She transformed her suffering into a source of empathy and strength, using her platform to uplift others. In her own words, "Turn your wounds into wisdom." This sentiment aligns perfectly with Nietzsche's belief that suffering, when embraced and confronted, can lead to profound transformation. Nietzsche's philosophy challenges us to confront not only external obstacles, but also the internal barriers that hold us back: fear, self-doubt, complacency, and outdated beliefs. Self-overcoming requires a willingness to face our own weaknesses, to acknowledge our failures, and to transform them into stepping stones for growth. In this way, Nietzsche's concept transcends time and culture. It is as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. For many, the challenges of modern life, stress, societal pressures, economic hardships, demand a similar spirit of resilience and transformation. In practical terms, how can we apply the idea of self-overcoming to our daily lives? One powerful approach is to embrace what Nietzsche called amor fati, or love of fate. This means accepting the events of our lives, even the painful and challenging ones, as essential parts of our personal journey. Instead of wishing for an easier life, we can learn to view obstacles as opportunities for growth. Consider the athlete who trains tirelessly despite setbacks, or the entrepreneur who faces multiple business failures before achieving success. Each challenge faced with determination and resilience builds character and strength. One key aspect of self-overcoming is the ability to learn from failure. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His relentless pursuit of innovation, despite countless setbacks, illustrates the power of persistence and self-overcoming. For Edison, each failure was not a defeat but a step toward eventual success. In this sense, Nietzsche's philosophy resonates deeply with the modern spirit of innovation and self-improvement. Yet, Nietzsche's idea of self-overcoming is not limited to individuals. It can also apply to societies and cultures as a whole. When faced with crises, economic, social, or moral, communities must find ways to adapt, grow, and transcend their limitations. Consider the rebuilding of Japan after World War II. The devastation of the war forced the nation to reinvent itself, transforming from a militaristic empire into a global economic powerhouse known for innovation, technology, and culture. This collective act of self-overcoming demonstrates the potential for transformation even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. The process of self-overcoming also involves confronting our darkest impulses and desires. Nietzsche recognized that humans are driven by a complex web of instincts, including aggression, jealousy, and ambition. Instead of suppressing these instincts, he believed we should channel and transform them in creative ways. This idea is exemplified by artists and creators who pour their emotions, struggles, and inner conflicts into their work. Vincent van Gogh, for instance, wrestled with mental illness and personal turmoil throughout his life. Yet his art reflects a transcendent beauty and passion that continues to inspire millions. In a world that often emphasizes comfort and instant gratification, Nietzsche's call for self-overcoming challenges us to step outside our comfort zones and embrace the difficult path. It asks us to question our assumptions, confront our fears, and push beyond what we believe is possible. This philosophy can be seen in the lives of countless trailblazers, from Rosa Parks, whose quiet defiance sparked a civil rights revolution, to Elon Musk, whose audacious vision for space exploration pushes humanity to reach for the stars. Self-overcoming is not a one-time achievement but a lifelong journey. It requires a commitment to continuous self-improvement, a willingness to learn from setbacks, and the courage to embrace uncertainty. As we strive to become the best versions of ourselves, we are reminded of Nietzsche's words, "Become who you are." This simple yet profound command challenges us to shed our masks, confront our limitations, and pursue our highest potential with relentless determination. In closing, the path of self-overcoming is not for the faint of heart. It demands resilience, courage, and a willingness to face life's toughest challenges head-on. But for those who dare to embark on this journey, the rewards are immeasurable: a life of purpose, strength, and authentic self-expression. As we continue to explore Nietzsche's philosophical teachings, let us reflect on how we can embody the spirit of self-overcoming in our own lives and inspire those around us to do the same. Next, we will delve deeper into Nietzsche's critique of traditional morality and his vision for a new moral framework, one that empowers individuals to live authentically and fully in a world of ever-changing values and norms. How can we break free from the constraints of outdated beliefs and create a life that truly reflects who we are? Stay with us as we explore this critical aspect of Nietzsche's thought. Friedrich Nietzsche's critique of Christianity and traditional morality represents one of the most provocative aspects of his philosophy. At its core, Nietzsche saw Christianity as a system that promotes values and virtues which serve to suppress human potential and stifle creativity, ambition, and raw desire. He argued that Christianity, through what he called slave morality, turns weakness into moral virtue and glorifies qualities like humility, meekness, and submission, all while condemning the pursuit of personal strength, power, and self-assertion. To understand Nietzsche's critique, we must first explore his concept of slave morality and how it stands in stark contrast to what he called master morality. According to Nietzsche, slave morality emerged as a reaction to oppression and powerlessness. In ancient times, those who lacked strength or influence, often enslaved or subjugated populations, found themselves unable to compete with the dominant aristocratic class. To cope with their disadvantaged position, they developed a moral system that redefined their weakness as virtue. This system glorified qualities like humility, patience, and forgiveness while condemning the traits of their oppressors, such as pride, ambition, and power, as sinful and corrupt. For Nietzsche, Christianity exemplified slave morality in its teachings and practices. He believed that the Christian emphasis on turning the other cheek, valuing humility, and seeking rewards in an afterlife was a form of psychological comfort designed to keep the powerless content with their lot in life. Nietzsche's harshest criticism came in his description of Christianity as a slave revolt in morals. In his view, it was a strategy for the weak to claim moral superiority over the strong by labeling strength and ambition as evil. This critique remains relevant today in a world where societal norms often discourage ambition and reward conformity. Consider the common social narrative that views wealth or power with suspicion, often framing successful individuals as morally suspect or greedy. This tendency to demonize ambition can be seen in many contexts, from political rhetoric to social media movements that vilify those who achieve great success. Nietzsche would argue that such attitudes reflect the lingering influence of slave morality, a system that seeks to undermine those who dare to rise above the norm. One of the most powerful examples of this phenomenon can be found in the treatment of disruptors in various industries. Take Elon Musk, for instance. As the CEO of multiple groundbreaking companies like SpaceX and Tesla, Musk has often been the subject of intense criticism, both for his unconventional behavior and for his willingness to challenge established norms. Critics have labeled him arrogant, reckless, and even dangerous. Yet, from a Nietzschean perspective, Musk's relentless pursuit of innovation and his willingness to take enormous risks exemplify the traits of what Nietzsche would call a master, someone who creates their own values and strives for greatness regardless of societal expectations. The backlash against Musk can be seen as a manifestation of slave morality, which seeks to pull down those who refuse to conform to traditional values. Another example can be found in the arts and culture. Throughout history, groundbreaking artists and thinkers who challenged conventional norms have often been met with resistance and scorn. Vincent van Gogh, whose work was largely ignored and even mocked during his lifetime, epitomizes this struggle. Van Gogh's raw expression of emotion and his refusal to adhere to traditional artistic norms set him apart. In Nietzschean terms, he was a creator who sought to impose his will on the world. Yet society's initial rejection of his work reflects the tendency to suppress creativity that deviates from the norm. Nietzsche's critique extends beyond individuals to broader societal structures. Consider the modern education system, which often emphasizes conformity, obedience, and the memorization of established facts over creativity, critical thinking, and individual expression. Nietzsche would likely see this as a reflection of slave morality, a system designed to produce compliant citizens rather than strong-willed, independent thinkers capable of challenging the status quo. For many students, the pressure to conform and succeed within these rigid structures stifles their innate ambition and creativity, leaving little room for genuine self-expression. Nietzsche's disdain for slave morality also manifested in his harsh critique of Christian values such as meekness and self-denial. In his eyes, these values encourage people to suppress their natural instincts and desires, which he saw as integral to human flourishing, instead of embracing life's passions and striving for greatness. Many people internalize feelings of guilt and shame, viewing their desires as sinful or corrupt. This internal conflict can be seen in contemporary debates around issues like sexuality, where traditional moral values often clash with individual desires and expressions of identity. To illustrate this point, consider the life of Martin Luther King Jr., whose fight for civil rights exemplified the Nietzschean ideal of self-overcoming and the rejection of oppressive moral systems. King's insistence on justice and equality for all people challenged the deeply entrenched norms of segregation and racial inequality in the United States. While King himself was a Christian minister, his willingness to confront and dismantle a system that promoted subjugation aligns with Nietzsche's call for individuals to reject slave morality and create new values based on strength, courage, and self-assertion. King's legacy demonstrates that moral progress often requires challenging established norms and refusing to accept oppressive values. For Nietzsche, the key to overcoming slave morality lies in the concept of the Übermensch or overman. This figure represents an individual who transcends traditional moral values, creates their own rules, and lives authentically according to their own will. The Übermensch is not constrained by the dictates of society or religion. Instead, they forge their own path, driven by a relentless desire to achieve greatness and express their true self. In many ways, figures like Steve Jobs, who redefined entire industries through his uncompromising vision and creativity, embody this ideal. Jobs' refusal to settle for mediocrity and his relentless pursuit of excellence transformed the world of technology, challenging established norms and inspiring countless others to think differently. While Nietzsche's critique of Christianity and morality may seem harsh or even nihilistic, it is important to recognize that his intention was not to advocate for moral anarchy or the pursuit of selfish pleasure. Rather, Nietzsche sought to empower individuals to reclaim their instincts, desires, and potential by breaking free from the constraints of oppressive moral systems. He believed that true greatness could only be achieved by embracing life's challenges, rejecting conformity, and striving for self-overcoming. In practical terms, Nietzsche's philosophy encourages us to question the values and norms imposed upon us by society, religion, and culture. Are we living according to our true desires? Or are we merely conforming to what others expect of us? Are we suppressing our ambitions out of fear of being judged or rejected? By challenging these questions and embracing our own strength, creativity, and will to power, we can begin to transcend the limitations imposed upon us by traditional morality. In today's world, where societal norms often discourage ambition, creativity, and raw desire, Nietzsche's critique remains as relevant as ever. The pressure to conform, to fit within predefined roles, and to suppress our true selves can be overwhelming. But Nietzsche's philosophy offers a powerful antidote, a call to break free from the chains of slave morality, to embrace our true potential, and to create a life of meaning and purpose on our own terms. As we explore Nietzsche's other philosophical teachings, including his views on self-overcoming and the death of God, let us reflect on how we can apply these ideas to our own lives. How can we challenge the values and norms that hold us back? How can we transform our weaknesses into strengths and create new values that reflect our true selves? The journey to self-overcoming is not easy, but it is a journey worth taking. Let us continue this exploration and uncover what it means to live authentically and courageously in a complex and ever-changing world. Friedrich Nietzsche's critique of Christianity and alcohol as narcotics provides a compelling entry point into one of his most significant philosophical themes: the necessity of confronting life's difficulties head-on, without succumbing to comforting illusions or temporary escapes. For Nietzsche, religion and alcohol were not merely practices or substances. They represented symbolic ways that people avoid the harsh truths and challenges of existence. In his view, both numbed the pain of life, creating a sense of false contentment that ultimately sapped individuals of the will to change their lives for the better. To understand Nietzsche's position, it is helpful to start with his views on Christianity. Nietzsche saw Christianity as a belief system that offered solace by promising rewards in an afterlife and encouraging followers to embrace suffering as virtuous. To Nietzsche, this focus on self-denial and meekness was a form of escapism, preventing individuals from fully engaging with life's challenges. By emphasizing forgiveness, humility, and the suppression of desire, Christianity, in his eyes, encouraged people to accept their circumstances rather than striving to overcome them. He argued that this doctrine promoted complacency and allowed individuals to retreat into passive resignation rather than confronting the realities of their existence. Modern examples illustrate this point. Consider the prevalence of prosperity gospel teachings, which suggest that faith and positive thinking will lead to material wealth and success. While this message may provide comfort and hope, it can also create a false sense of security that prevents individuals from addressing systemic barriers to success or taking meaningful action to improve their circumstances. Nietzsche would view such teachings as another form of narcotic, offering temporary relief from life's hardships without promoting genuine self-transformation. Nietzsche's critique of alcohol was similarly rooted in its ability to numb the pain of existence. In his famous declaration, "There have been two great narcotics in European civilization, Christianity and alcohol," Nietzsche identified alcohol as a substance that provided a fleeting sense of relief from suffering, but at a significant cost. By dulling the senses and blurring reality, alcohol, according to Nietzsche, hindered personal growth and the capacity for self-overcoming. Instead of confronting life's challenges with clarity and determination, individuals under the influence of alcohol sought to escape their problems through intoxication. This critique remains strikingly relevant in the modern era. The consumption of alcohol as a coping mechanism for stress, anxiety, and depression is well documented. While a glass of wine after a long day may provide temporary relaxation, excessive reliance on alcohol can lead to a cycle of dependency that prevents individuals from addressing the root causes of their pain. High-profile examples abound. Celebrities and powerful figures who have publicly struggled with addiction, like actor Robert Downey Jr., serve as reminders of the seductive allure of escapism through substances. Downey's journey from addiction to recovery illustrates both the depths to which one can fall and the strength required to confront and overcome one's demons, a journey Nietzsche would recognize as a form of self-overcoming. In the contemporary world, Nietzsche's warnings about narcotics extend far beyond religion and alcohol. Today, society is awash with distractions that serve a similar purpose: numbing pain, providing fleeting pleasure, and inhibiting meaningful transformation. One of the most pervasive modern narcotics is social media. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok offer instant gratification in the form of likes, shares, and comments, creating a temporary sense of validation and connection. However, this digital escapism often comes at the expense of genuine self-reflection and meaningful personal growth. Instead of confronting loneliness, insecurity, or dissatisfaction, many people turn to social media as a way to distract themselves from their problems. Consider the case of someone who spends hours each day curating the perfect online persona. This person may receive praise and validation from followers, but beneath the surface, they may still struggle with feelings of inadequacy, depression, or loneliness. The validation offered by social media is fleeting and ultimately superficial, leaving the individual trapped in a cycle of seeking external approval rather than addressing the root causes of their pain. From a Nietzschean perspective, this behavior exemplifies the dangers of modern narcotics. It numbs the pain of existence without offering a path to genuine self-transformation. Nietzsche's critique also applies to other common forms of escapism, such as consumerism, binge-watching television, and the pursuit of material wealth as a measure of success. In each case, the individual seeks to fill a void with external pleasures or distractions, rather than confronting their inner struggles and striving for self-overcoming. Consider the example of a successful corporate executive who works long hours to accumulate wealth and status. On the surface, this individual may appear to have achieved great success. However, if their pursuit of wealth is driven by a desire to escape feelings of inadequacy or to gain approval from others, they may find themselves unfulfilled despite their material achievements. Nietzsche would argue that true fulfillment comes not from external validation, but from the difficult work of confronting and overcoming one's inner struggles. To illustrate Nietzsche's point more personally, I recall a close friend who once struggled with alcohol as a means of coping with a traumatic experience. For years, he used drinking to numb his pain and avoid confronting his emotions. At social gatherings, he appeared confident and carefree, but behind closed doors, the weight of his unresolved trauma took a toll. Eventually, he reached a breaking point and decided to seek help. The journey to recovery was long and painful, requiring him to confront his trauma, take responsibility for his actions, and rebuild his life from the ground up. This process of self-overcoming was difficult, but it ultimately led to genuine transformation and a renewed sense of purpose. Nietzsche would have seen this as a victory, the triumph of the will to power over adversity and the reclamation of one's life. In our fast-paced, modern society, it is all too easy to fall into patterns of avoidance and distraction, whether through religion, substances, social media, or other forms of escapism. We are often tempted to seek comfort and numbness rather than facing life's challenges head-on. Nietzsche's philosophy calls on us to reject these narcotics and embrace the pain and struggle of existence as essential parts of the human experience. Only by doing so can we achieve true self-transformation and become the best versions of ourselves. While Nietzsche's critique may seem harsh, it is ultimately a call to action. He challenges us to confront our fears, embrace discomfort, and strive for greatness. In a world filled with distractions, his message remains as relevant today as ever. True strength and fulfillment come not from avoiding life's difficulties, but from facing them with courage and determination. As we continue to explore Nietzsche's philosophical teachings, let us reflect on how we can break free from the numbing habits and distractions that hold us back and embrace the transformative power of self-overcoming. The path is not easy, but it is the only way to live authentically and fully. What might we become if we dare to confront life's challenges with open eyes and an unyielding will? This is the question Nietzsche leaves for each of us to answer. Friedrich Nietzsche's declaration that God is dead is one of the most misunderstood statements in the history of philosophy. It is often taken out of context as a triumphalist proclamation of atheism or a rejection of religious belief. However, for Nietzsche, it was neither a celebration nor an attack on religion for its own sake. Rather, it was a profound observation about the cultural and philosophical crisis brought on by the decline of traditional religious authority and the moral framework it provided. In declaring God is dead, Nietzsche was pointing to the collapse of values and meaning that had been rooted in centuries of religious belief. And he was warning of the profound consequences this collapse would have on society and individuals. To fully understand what Nietzsche meant, it is crucial to see the context in which he made this declaration. During the 19th century, Europe was undergoing significant social, scientific, and political changes. The Enlightenment, scientific advances, and the rise of secularism had all contributed to a gradual erosion of religious belief and the moral structure provided by Christianity. For centuries, religion had served as the bedrock of Western morality, guiding people's behavior, providing answers to existential questions, and offering hope in the face of suffering. The death of God was, therefore, not a literal event but a metaphorical one, signifying the end of religion's central role in Western culture. Nietzsche recognized that the decline of religious belief would leave a void, a vacuum of meaning and values that would be difficult, if not impossible, to fill. Without God, where would people find purpose, moral guidance, and a sense of order in their lives? This is why his declaration was not celebratory. It was a lamentation and a warning. He foresaw that the loss of traditional religious values would lead to nihilism, the belief that life is inherently meaningless. In Nietzsche's view, this cultural and philosophical void would leave humanity vulnerable, drifting without direction or purpose. A powerful modern parallel can be seen in the existential crises experienced by many individuals in contemporary society. With traditional religious frameworks losing influence, people often find themselves searching for meaning in a world that seems increasingly fragmented and chaotic. The rise of anxiety, depression, and feelings of alienation in modern culture may be viewed, in part, as a manifestation of this loss of a cohesive moral and existential compass. Nietzsche's diagnosis of this problem is as relevant today as it was in his time. When the old structures fall away, how do we create new values and find meaning? Nietzsche's answer to this question was both radical and ambitious. He believed that humanity could, and must, fill the void left by the death of God with new sources of meaning rooted in philosophy, art, culture, and human creativity. Rather than clinging to outdated religious doctrines, or succumbing to despair. Nietzsche challenged individuals to become creators of their own values and to embrace life with all its chaos and uncertainty. This idea is encapsulated in his concept of the Übermensch or overman, an individual who transcends traditional moral codes and creates their own values through strength, creativity, and self-overcoming. Consider the role that art and culture play in shaping human values and providing meaning. For Nietzsche, art was a vital force that could help individuals confront and make sense of life's tragedies and complexities. He admired the ancient Greeks for their use of tragic drama, which served as a form of catharsis and moral education. By engaging with tragedy, the Greeks were able to confront the darker aspects of human existence and find strength and resilience. In contrast, Nietzsche believed that much of modern culture had become sterile and disconnected from the real struggles of life. Rather than serving as a guide to meaningful living, the humanities had often been reduced to dry academic exercises, divorced from the needs and concerns of ordinary people. This critique remains strikingly relevant today. In many universities, the study of philosophy, literature, and art has become increasingly abstract, detached from real-world applications and everyday human experience. Nietzsche would likely be dismayed by how often the humanities are treated as mere intellectual pursuits rather than as tools for personal and cultural transformation. He envisioned a culture in which philosophy, art, and literature would play a central role in shaping values and helping people navigate life's challenges. This vision calls for a revival of the humanities as living disciplines that engage with the world and offer practical guidance for living a meaningful life. One example of a public figure who embodies Nietzsche's call for cultural renewal is the late civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. While King was deeply rooted in the Christian tradition, he also drew upon philosophy, literature, and the arts to inspire and guide the civil rights movement. His speeches, rich with references to justice, love, and human dignity, served as a moral and existential compass for millions. King's use of culture to challenge and transform society illustrates the potential for the humanities to be a powerful force for positive change. Nietzsche's vision for filling the void left by the death of God also resonates with the work of contemporary artists, writers, and thinkers who seek to explore life's deepest questions and challenges through their work. Consider the music of Bob Dylan, whose lyrics often grapple with themes of identity, morality, and social justice. Dylan's work has inspired generations by engaging with the complexities of human existence and challenging conventional norms. Similarly, the novels of Toni Morrison explore issues of race, identity, and history in ways that force readers to confront uncomfortable truths and question established narratives. Both Dylan and Morrison, in their own ways, contribute to Nietzsche's vision of a culture that helps people make sense of their lives and confront the challenges they face. Nietzsche's critique of the humanities extends beyond academia to broader cultural trends. In an era of instant gratification and digital distractions, meaningful engagement with art, philosophy, and culture is often overshadowed by superficial entertainment and viral trends. Social media, with its emphasis on likes, shares, and fleeting moments of validation, can create a culture of distraction that prevents people from engaging deeply with themselves and the world around them. Nietzsche would likely see this as another manifestation of the cultural void left by the death of God, a society that seeks meaning in surface-level interactions rather than in the difficult, transformative work of self-reflection and value creation. To illustrate Nietzsche's point, consider the example of a young person who spends hours scrolling through social media, comparing themselves to curated images of success and happiness. This individual may feel a sense of emptiness and inadequacy, driven by the constant need for validation and approval. Nietzsche would argue that true meaning cannot be found through external validation. It must be created from within. Instead of seeking comfort in shallow distractions, individuals must confront their own values, desires, and fears, and create a life that is true to themselves. This process is difficult and often painful, but it is the only way to fill the void left by the decline of traditional moral structures. In practical terms, Nietzsche's philosophy challenges us to take responsibility for our own values and to find meaning through our actions, creativity, and engagement with the world. This requires courage, resilience, and a willingness to confront the uncertainties and ambiguities of life. It also demands that we resist the temptation to retreat into comforting illusions or to rely on external authorities to tell us what to believe. By embracing the chaos and complexity of existence, we can become the creators of our own destiny and find meaning in the face of life's challenges. Nietzsche's declaration that God is dead was not an endpoint but a call to action, a challenge for humanity to rise above the collapse of traditional values and to create a new moral and existential compass. It is a challenge that remains as relevant today as it was in his time. In a world that often feels fragmented and directionless, Nietzsche's philosophy offers a path forward, a call to create, to engage, and to live with authenticity and courage. As we continue to explore Nietzsche's thought, let us consider how we can apply his vision to our own lives. How can we fill the void left by the decline of traditional values? How can we create a culture that inspires and guides us in the pursuit of meaning and purpose? The answers to these questions are not easy, but they are essential for living a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Let us continue this journey together as we explore what it means to create our own values and to live in a world where the old gods have died but new possibilities are waiting to be born. Nietzsche's philosophy is complex, multifaceted, and often deeply personal. His emphasis on self-overcoming, the rejection of comforting illusions, and the creation of new values challenges each of us to confront the world in its raw, often chaotic form. One of the best ways to illustrate Nietzsche's philosophy is through real-world examples of notable individuals and cultural phenomena that embody these ideas. By exploring these examples, we can better understand the practical implications of Nietzsche's thought and see how his ideas continue to resonate in contemporary life. Nelson Mandela, the embodiment of self-overcoming. One of the most powerful examples of Nietzschean self-overcoming is the life of Nelson Mandela. Mandela's journey from political prisoner to president of South Africa is a story of resilience, transformation, and moral courage. He spent 27 years imprisoned under the harshest conditions, often isolated and subjected to hard labor. Yet, instead of succumbing to bitterness or despair, Mandela used this time to reflect, learn, and cultivate the inner strength needed to lead a divided nation. Mandela's capacity to rise above his suffering and embrace reconciliation with his former oppressors embodies Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, a person who transcends conventional values and forges their own path. Rather than seeking vengeance, Mandela chose to unite South Africa through forgiveness and dialogue. His actions reflect Nietzsche's belief that true strength lies in the ability to overcome one's own limitations and transform adversity into a source of power. Mandela's legacy continues to inspire millions, reminding us that self-overcoming is not merely an abstract idea but a tangible, transformative force. Oprah Winfrey, turning wounds into wisdom. Oprah Winfrey, a global media icon and philanthropist, offers another compelling example of Nietzschean philosophy in action. Born into poverty and subjected to abuse as a child, Oprah faced significant challenges early in life. However, she refused to be defined by her circumstances. Through determination, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of self-improvement, Oprah transformed herself into one of the most influential women in the world. Nietzsche often spoke of the need to confront one's suffering and transform it into a source of strength. Oprah's journey exemplifies this idea. She used her platform to share her personal struggles and inspire others to overcome their own challenges. Her famous mantra, "Turn your wounds into wisdom," echoes Nietzsche's call to embrace hardship as an opportunity for growth. In doing so, Oprah has not only redefined what is possible for herself, but has also empowered countless others to do the same. Elon Musk, the drive to create and innovate. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, is often viewed as one of the most innovative and ambitious figures of our time. His willingness to challenge established industries, take enormous risks, and pursue seemingly impossible goals aligns with Nietzsche's celebration of the creative will. Musk's endeavors, from revolutionizing electric vehicles to making space travel more accessible, demonstrate a relentless drive to push the boundaries of human potential. For Nietzsche, greatness comes not from following the status quo, but from breaking free of it and creating new values. Musk embodies this philosophy by refusing to accept limitations and striving to achieve what others deem impossible. His bold vision and uncompromising pursuit of innovation illustrate the Nietzschean ideal of the Übermensch, an individual who creates their own path and shapes the future on their terms. However, Musk's journey is also marked by intense criticism, setbacks, and public scrutiny, challenges he continues to confront with unwavering resolve. The power of art, Vincent van Gogh's creative struggle. Nietzsche believed that art had the power to transform suffering and provide a deeper understanding of life's complexities. The life and work of Vincent van Gogh exemplify this idea. Van Gogh's struggle with mental illness, poverty, and social rejection was a defining feature of his life. Despite these challenges, he produced a body of work that continues to captivate and inspire people around the world. Van Gogh's art reflects Nietzsche's belief in the transformative power of creativity. Through his paintings, Van Gogh expressed his inner turmoil and found meaning in his suffering. His work is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the ability to create beauty in the face of despair. Nietzsche would likely have seen Van Gogh as a tragic yet heroic figure, someone who confronted life's harsh realities and transformed them into a source of artistic brilliance. Rosa Parks, defiance and moral courage. Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama, in 1955 sparked a movement that would change the course of American history. Her act of defiance was not just a protest against injustice. It was a powerful assertion of her own dignity and the dignity of all who were oppressed by segregation. Nietzsche often spoke of the will to power, the drive to assert oneself and shape the world according to one's values. Parks' quiet but courageous act exemplifies this idea. By refusing to accept the status quo, she challenged deeply entrenched systems of oppression and inspired a generation to fight for civil rights. Her legacy reminds us that true strength comes from standing up for one's beliefs, even in the face of overwhelming odds, modern distractions, and the numbing of the will. Nietzsche's critique of narcotics, both literal and metaphorical, remains relevant in the modern age. While he focused on religion and alcohol as ways people numb themselves to life's challenges, today we face a new array of distractions that serve a similar purpose. Social media, binge-watching, consumerism, and the pursuit of instant gratification often prevent us from confronting our own limitations and striving for self-overcoming. Consider the example of social media influencers who curate perfect, glamorous lives for public consumption. While their lives may appear enviable on the surface, many struggle with anxiety, depression, and feelings of inadequacy. The pressure to maintain a flawless image can be overwhelming, leading to a cycle of validation-seeking and superficial engagement. Nietzsche would likely view this phenomenon as a modern form of escapism, a way of avoiding the difficult work of self-reflection and growth. Personal insights, confronting our own challenges. Nietzsche's philosophy is not just for historical figures or public icons. It applies to each of us in our own lives. I recall a period in my life when I faced significant professional setbacks. It felt as though the world was closing in on me, and I was tempted to retreat into comfort and avoidance. However, Nietzsche's emphasis on self-overcoming inspired me to confront my fears, learn from my failures, and push beyond my perceived limitations. This process was painful and challenging, but it ultimately led to personal growth and a renewed sense of purpose. In moments of struggle, we all have the opportunity to embody Nietzsche's call to action. By facing our challenges head-on, embracing discomfort, and striving to create our own values, we can transform ourselves and the world around us. Cultural phenomena, the rise of personal development. The modern personal development movement, with its emphasis on self-improvement, resilience, and goal-setting, reflects many of Nietzsche's ideas. Motivational speakers, life coaches, and self-help authors often encourage individuals to take control of their lives, confront their fears, and strive for greatness. While some aspects of the movement may be criticized as overly simplistic or commercialized, it nonetheless embodies the Nietzschean spirit of self-overcoming. For example, figures like Tony Robbins have built careers on helping people break free from limiting beliefs and achieve their full potential. Robbins' focus on taking massive action and embracing challenges resonates with Nietzsche's call to live authentically and courageously. However, Nietzsche would likely caution against the tendency to seek quick fixes or superficial solutions. True self-overcoming requires sustained effort, deep self-reflection, and a willingness to confront the darkest parts of ourselves. Balancing analysis with relatable anecdotes, Nietzsche's philosophy is deeply personal, and its relevance extends to every aspect of human life. Whether we are grappling with personal challenges, striving to achieve greatness, or seeking meaning in a chaotic world, Nietzsche's ideas offer a powerful framework for understanding and transforming our lives. By exploring the stories of notable individuals and cultural phenomena, we can see how his philosophy continues to resonate and inspire. And by reflecting on our own experiences, we can take Nietzsche's call to self-overcoming and use it to create a life of purpose, strength, and authenticity. The journey is not easy, but it is one worth taking. As we continue to explore Nietzsche's thought, let us remember that the path to self-overcoming is a deeply personal one, filled with challenges, setbacks, and opportunities for growth. How will you confront your own obstacles and create a life that reflects your true values and aspirations? This is the question that Nietzsche poses to each of us, and the answer lies in our willingness to embrace the struggle and transform ourselves along the way. As we reflect on the enduring relevance of Nietzsche's philosophy, we are reminded of its profound challenge to each of us to confront life's struggles, to reject the comforts of complacency, and to embrace the hard path of self-overcoming. In a world often driven by superficial validation, quick fixes, and an endless pursuit of comfort, Nietzsche's words resonate as a call to live authentically and courageously. He urges us to find strength not in avoiding pain, but in transforming it, to create meaning not by following others, but by forging our own paths. Whether we face personal setbacks, societal pressures, or crises of belief, Nietzsche's philosophy reminds us that growth and transformation are born from struggle. It is through confronting our own fears, failures, and limitations that we become who we are meant to be. We are not here to shrink from life's challenges, but to rise above them, to become the creators of our own values, and to live with a fierce commitment to authenticity. Think of the individuals who have inspired us, those who dared to stand apart, to push boundaries, and to reshape their worlds. They remind us that greatness is not given. It is earned through perseverance, resilience, and an unbreakable will to overcome. We, too, are capable of such greatness if we are willing to step beyond the comfort of the familiar and embrace the challenges that life throws our way. So, as you go forward, ask yourself, what would it mean to live fully, to confront your own challenges with courage, and to create a life that reflects your deepest values and aspirations? This is the journey that Nietzsche invites us to take, a journey that requires bravery, self-reflection, and an unyielding commitment to growth. If you found these reflections meaningful and you want to join us in exploring more about philosophy, self-growth, and living authentically, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world and helps us continue bringing thoughtful content to inspire and challenge each of us to become the best versions of ourselves. Thank you for watching, and remember, your journey to self-overcoming starts now.